Welcome to Section 3, Extract What Matters. In this lecture, we are going to focus on notes. A lot of students take notes because they know they are supposed to. But the real question is not, did I take notes? The real question is, can I study from these notes later? That is the shift for this lecture. We are not trying to create perfect notes or beautiful notes. We are trying to create useful notes. Useful notes help you remember the main ideas, find confusing points, turn information into questions, and prepare for quizzes, exams, papers, and finals. By the end of this lecture, your action step will be simple. Improve one page of notes from one real class. Think of your notes as a message to your future self. Future you might be studying at night, before work, between classes, after family responsibilities, or a few days before an exam. If your notes are only a long copy of what the instructor said, future you may still feel lost. But if your notes show the main ideas, examples, confusing points, and possible study questions, they become much more useful. A good question to ask after class is, could I use these notes to study tomorrow? If the answer is no, that does not mean the notes are bad. It just means they need a quick cleanup step. During class, you do not need to write down every word. In fact, trying to write everything can make it harder to think about what matters. Instead, focus on a few high-value categories. Capture the main ideas. Write down key terms. Add examples that make the topic clearer. And mark confusing points so you know what to review later. For example, in a psychology class, do not only copy the definition of classical conditioning. Also write the example your instructor used, and write a question like, how is classical conditioning different from operant conditioning? That kind of note is much easier to study from later. One of the simplest upgrades you can make is to add questions to your notes. Instead of only writing statements, turn some of those statements into questions you can answer later. This prepares you for active recall, which we will use more later in the course. For example, if your note says supply and demand affect price, you can turn that into how does demand affect price when supply stays the same? That question is much more useful for studying because it asks you to retrieve and explain the idea. You do not need to turn every line into a question. Start with the main ideas and the topics your instructor emphasizes. Here is a practical routine you can use after class, the 10-minute note cleanup. This does not need to be complicated. Circle or highlight the main topic. Add 3 to 5 questions. Mark anything confusing. Add one example in your own words. Then decide when you will review it again. This is especially helpful if you are busy. You may not have an hour after every class, but even 10 minutes can make your notes more useful. The goal is not to rewrite everything. The goal is to make your notes ready for future studying. Your action step is to improve one page of notes from one real class. Choose a page from a recent lecture, reading, or online lesson. Identify the main idea. Add 3 to 5 study questions. Mark one confusing point. Then add one example in your own words. Do not try to fix every note you have ever taken. Start with one page. The goal is to experience what a study-ready note page feels like. In the next lecture, we will build on this by turning lectures, readings, and videos into questions. If this video was helpful, I cover the full Learn Study system in my Udemy course, How to Study in College, Notes, Exams, and Finals. In the course, you will learn how to plan your semester, take better notes, study actively, review over time, and prepare for quizzes, exams, papers, and finals. You can find the course link in the video description, along with any available promotions or discounted access. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you study with more structure, less cramming, and more confidence. I wish you much success in your college studying. Start small, stay consistent, and keep building a study system that works for your real life, one week at a time.